It all comes down to this. 36 races, and the championship margin is single digits across the remaining 3. No better script could be written for this quest to find the next icon. No better way to end the season than a tricky battle at Phoenix where one driver has won earlier this year, another driver looks to dominate, and the other driver looks to throw a Hail Mary and steal the glory. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Avondale, Arizona. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I've got Zach Murtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of the 2024 Icon Cup Series. Tonight's coverage from Phoenix in race 37 is brought to you by Whiplash SimCams, by ATVO, and by CC's Business. And it is a pleasure for sure this evening from the legendary Phoenix Raceway that has been open since 1964 to go racing for the final time here in 2024 for the Icon Cup Series. What a trip it has been since Daytona back in February all the way to Phoenix now in November. What a ride.
The great thing about rides, Andrew, or maybe not the greatest thing, is that rides have to come to an end at some point, and it's been a great season so far and a great track to wrap it up at. Obviously, Phoenix is host to the NASCAR Championship, as we saw earlier today. I'm sure you're happy about who won that race, Andrew, but now we move on to Icon and wrapping up a great season with these guys here at this great track. It's super unique. I'm still convinced that Phoenix has 5 turns. Don't quote me on it, but it has 5 turns. The dogleg is one of the interesting parts of this track that allows drivers to pretty much shortcut the racetrack. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to at most other tracks. So they changed it up a little bit. You can see where the start-finish line is on the track map. It used to be between where turns 2 and 3 is. Now it's been moved into the dogleg portion. So we're pitting off of turn 2. Feels like we're on the back straightaway. Some of us still consider it the front stretch, but I think we're still in for a great show tonight with these guys. Practice is wrapping up right now. We're getting into qualifying. It's a couple of drivers still left for this championship fight, Andrew, and it's still anyone's race tonight.
And the air temp in practice right now has plummeted. These guys are practicing in nighttime conditions. Things are going to change as quickly as Sean Purcell goes to the top of the board. I'm not sure how, but I think that lap was a throwaway, because that was 6/10 clear of Travis Gilbert. I think that might have been with some funny business going on, but regardless, that took our weather graphic down. Let's bring that back up. Weather conditions in sim right now at night are 71 degrees in the air. Now, I expect this to very much change when we go into qualifying and racing. We should be during the day. We should be racing during the day, at least to start this race off. So what these guys are practicing in now might change a whole bunch when we get racing. But let's take a look at the point standings coming into this evening. And oh boy, I mentioned that single-digit threshold that Brian Smith has to overcome, that Charlie Widener has to overcome. You've got 3 points between Nathan Finnegan and Brian Smith, 9 between Finnegan and Charlie Widener. That is your battle for a championship. Vincent Loria is eliminated, effectively anyways, eliminated, and will not be here this evening, cannot fight for this championship. So it's down to these 3 at the very top: Nathan Finnegan, Brian Smith, Charlie Widener. Brian Patty has just about locked himself into 5th place for the race for 5th, so that is out of our worries. It's just these top 3. That's what we're talking about all night long.
And I think you were the one that told me earlier, Andrew, that these drivers aren't earning stage points, so that's going to make their points total that much closer together. It's all going to be based off of track position. And, you know, looking through this points total, we see a lot of guys here that really had solid shots at, just taking themselves to the championship floor. You had Ryan Patty, Adam Ball. Those guys were absolutely on fire in the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. Kyle Purcell, Jacob Gladwich, Joshua Clemens. You know, most of these guys in the top 10, they all had solid shots to make it into the next round. The round of 8 that be, or the round of 4 that we're in now. You see Evan Patenko, he's got the best of the rest out of the drivers that didn't make the playoffs. Cody Neal, one driver we've talked about all season, Andrew, who could have made this playoff format work in his favor, but wasn't able to commit to enough races, wasn't able to get a win. So there's just so many great storylines coming out of this season, going into this last race, and I think we're in for a show tonight. I say it all the time, and I'm going to keep saying it. It's going to sound like a broken record. Tonight is going to be a great race.
It's definitely going to be a fantastic race here at the Phoenix Raceway, a place that's special to me and I think many other people on the West Coast who I've at least at one point in time called this racetrack home. This was my home racetrack for years when I lived out in Arizona, so this is a very special place for me and many other people. Phoenix Raceway is such an oddball racetrack. It's just a lot of fun to go to. Qualifying kicking off now for these drivers in the 37th race of 37 this season, and it's happening under the lights. Qualifying at night here. Let's break into the iRacing.com sim and take a look. There you go, from day to night, quickly into this qualifying session, and we are ready to get after it to find out who will be the final pole sitter of 2024. Here's Sean Purcell, who went fastest at the very back end of practice, I believe by a technicality. But that's okay.
That technicality being he rode the wall the entire track.
Yeah, that'll do it. But car 04 looking for something here in qualifying. Will actually crash here on the inside wall, and will go fourth quick, it looks like, in qualifying and crash some more. So that's unfortunate. But Kevin Gunther now fastest.
Yeah, and as we roll through qualifying, I think it's worth noting that we have a lot of drivers that have D and Qs tonight. The 8, the 33, the 330, the 015, the 42, the 15, the 24, the 44, the 227, and the 6. All drivers will not, well, excuse me, no, that was a little bit of funny business shenanigans from race control. I figured Finnegan was going to be able to qualify. I didn't expect that, but those are all the drivers who are not going to be able to qualify as Nathan Finnegan goes top of the board. After that lap, he's going to shut it down, bring it to the security of the pit lane, and there is one of the other drivers in the title contention. That's Brian Smith, waiting and waiting to get out there on the racetrack and turn his laps. He just gets rolling as we see Charlie Widener on the racetrack. All three of your title contenders, Andrew, they're going to be all going for it here tonight.
On board with Charlie Widener, taking a slow approach here to his first flying lap. Seems like lap 2 will be the lap of record for a lot of these drivers. Faster the second time around. Here's Widener coming to lap number 1. Getting a low start to that first lap of qualifying. He'll dive off into turn number 1 and be on the clock for the first time. And he is not the only one we're watching. Of course, you mentioned Brian Smith in that 78 car. He begins his qualifying run as Cody Neal bumps Finnegan from position number 1.
And this is one thing we're going to be noticing a lot. Look at Brian Smith. He takes a really wide line here in 1 and 2. A lot of drivers like to hang on that first seam or on the yellow line, but Brian Smith is one of the only drivers that I've seen that have gone all the way out, and it looks like he's going to throw away his first lap. So swing it out all the way and cut it low on lap number 2. That's what I was expecting to see.
Oh, he's going to crash!
Oh, no!
And that's going to put Brian Smith in the back of the field to begin the race here at Phoenix. That is huge. Widener is 7th so far and now drops to 8th as Tay McDonald goes to 2nd. Widener across the stripe, a 27.420 will move him up into 4th, just behind Nathan Finnegan. They'll start the race, it looks like, on the same row if things hold.
Looks like Brian Smith got his first lap in, so obviously he's going to keep that starting spot. He still sits parked there. You've got to understand, he's probably frustrated beyond belief. We look on with the 59 of Roth. He's a part-timer making a start here tonight at Phoenix as he takes it down the back straightaway on his very first lap. See what he gets coming across the line here, Andrew. Low out of turn number 4. And that's going to be a 27.87. It's going to slot him right around, I believe,
12th, lap 1.
Yep, 12th.
On board with him here with the nose camera that we don't use a whole lot, but I love the perspective here, and it's going to be really cool when he drops down onto the apron out of turn number 4 here. Robert Roth going for a hopefully top position here in qualifying. It'll be a 27.499. That'll be good for the 9th position, it looks like, for car 59. Not a bad effort at all. Now Mike Jennings on the racetrack, and it looks like he will not have enough time to complete a lap here in qualifying, but he will come around and begin lap number 1 right there, but will not have enough time to complete a lap.
Talk about a starting park.
And he will start this race, it looks like, from about the 26th position if things hold. But that leaves Cody Neal at the top, and there it is, that jarring difference from night to day very quickly. Boy, does it happen in a hurry in the sim, and these guys will have a little bit of time to warm these cars up and go practicing for 5 more minutes Adam Ball, one of the first to hit the racetrack, it looks like, will be the first to hit the racetrack in this little warm-up session of just 5 minutes. Cody Neal, pole sitter, will run out onto the racetrack as well. And this is an important little moment for these guys. The final bit of time before these guys are racing for a championship. So in the case of the 3 that are battling for the championship this evening, Widener, Finnegan, Smith, this is an important 5 minutes. How do you choose to spend it?
Get as much track time as possible. This is going to be the last bit of time you're going to have before this track goes green. So you're going to be experiencing conditions relative to what the start of the race is going to be. So you're going to know how your car is going to react on the start, where you think you're going to be able to put it. Obviously, as time moves on, things are going to change up a little bit compared from now to the 4 minutes we have until the start of the race. But it's still noted that you can get some track time to feel out where this thing's going to be. Charlie Widener on track right now. He's trying to feel out where this car is going to be best at the start of this race. And this is one thing we're also going to be seeing, Andrew. These guys are in 4th gear. They're not running all the way out. The only time I think we're going to see 5th gear is if these guys have a long run that they're trying to save fuel, or just, downshifting. You see Widener up to 5th, now into 4th gear, rolling through 1 and 2. But I think we'll see a lot of 5th gear running if there's a long green flag run.
Well, it seems like it's definitely usable at the end of the front stretch going into turn 1, not so much at the end of the back stretch going into turn 3. So we'll see a little bit of it as these guys pop up off the banking right about here, or off the apron, onto the banking rather, into turn 1. We'll get 5th gear there and then drop back down into 4th and stay in 4th gear the remainder of the lap, it looks like. Very interesting the way you have to run this racetrack as we watch on with Charlie Widener. The 6 of Nathan Finnegan often does not take to the racetrack in these warm-up sessions. He stays in the pit lane. Brian Smith does the same. So the only championship competitor that is highlighted here in yellow that is on the racetrack in warm-up is Charlie Widener. And I just find that interesting. I don't know how that's going to work out in terms of race pace and whatnot. Of course, he was a little bit off the pace in practice, has been looking for that pace all season long. But it's worth noting he's the only of the championship competitors that is on the racetrack currently.
Well, let's look at it from this perspective too. If you want to pull the points back up, Charlie Widener is the underdog running into this event. You've got Brian Smith, 15 wins on the season. You've got Nathan Finnegan, who's got 4. You've got Vincent Loria, who has 8, who's no longer in contention for the championship. And Charlie Widener doesn't have any wins to his name this entire season. Yet here he is in championship 4, trying to show that he's got what it takes to take these guys off their throne. In fact, really, Andrew, if you want to compare it to something, you can compare it to, it was 2017 or 2018 in the NASCAR Cup Series when you had the big 3, and then you had Brad Keselowski punching his way into the championship 4.
I think you mean Joey Logano in 2018, because that's when he got his first championship. He took down the big 3 in 2018. Right. And yes, it's very much big 3 and then Charlie Widener, and he's trying to take them down this evening, 10th so far in this mini practice session of 15 drivers on the time chart so far. I mentioned Finnegan doesn't usually partake in these warm-up sessions. Well, here he is. Must have heard that we were talking about him because he hit the racetrack in a hurry and is looking to go out and put a lap down. Just about gets into Jennings there off of the 4th turn, but Nathan Finnegan hitting the racetrack, now 11th, right ahead of Charlie Widener.
Yeah, this track time is going to be valuable. These guys have got to figure out how these cars are going to roll, and I think Finnegan realized that because we're getting closer and closer to how the race is going to start and what conditions we're going to be in. So this is optimal time to be on the racetrack. This is when you're going to figure out most what your car is going to do. But as the rubber gets laid down, things are going to change. Everything's going to get different as the race goes on, and I think Finnegan is going to be able to respond nicely as he goes up another spot. As we're getting to the end of this warm-up, Andrew, the last warm-up of the Icon Cup Series season, I got to reflect with you, man. It's been one heck of a season moving forward, and I'm excited to be in the booth calling this last race with you for this 2024 season. And I think, again, I'm going to keep repeating it because I'm going to sound like a broken record. We're going to be in for a show tonight.
I'm glad you're back here for the final race of the 2024 season. It's been a pleasure all season long with you and others on the mic here at Pit Stop TV, and just glad to close this thing out on a high note here with the championship battle being so narrow coming into this final race of the season. We'll take a look at the CC's Business starting grid here in just a moment after we take a look at the weather conditions once the session flips over into the race, and there we go, it'll do so. Weather conditions, 69 degrees in the air, 72 on track. It is a very calm day, a beautiful day for racing in the desert. That is uncharacteristically cool, I'd say. 69 degrees in the air. That is beautiful. Absolutely picturesque. Absolutely perfect. Going to be a lot of fun then. Should be manageable by tire conditions for sure, and just add to the layers that make up this championship race for the Icon Cup Series. Let's take a look at that CC's Business starting grid. On pole this evening in car number 4, Cody Neal will be the final pole sitter of 2024. Tay McDonald joins him on the front row. For the championship, in row number 2, Nathan Finnegan, Charlie Widener, the two drivers that got a clean lap in, they will start inside the top 4. Brian Smith will start deeper in the field, as you'll have to go by guys like Kyle Purcell and Kevin Gunther to get to those top 2 to fight for the championship. Adam Ball, Jacob Delangelo, they'll start from 7th and 8th, and starting 9th and 10th, they'll find Robert Roth and Jacob Smith, a couple of part-timers.
Moving through the rest of the field, Sean Purcell and Evan Patinko. First one's outside the top 10. Evan doing a very nice job in qualifying, I will say. One of the higher qualifying performances we've seen out of him. Eric Smith and Brad Delph in the 13th and the 14th starting spot tonight. That's row number 7. And then Robert Bluen and Kyle Gilbert, 15th and 16th on the starting grid tonight. Rolling through the rest of the running order, Brian Smith, your other championship contender. Furthest down in the running order, 17th and 18th is Kyle Turzak, while 19th and 20th on the starting grid tonight. Row number 10, Ryan Patty and Ray Lane.
We'll let the rest go by on the bottom of the screen as the field works down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. It happens quickly here at Phoenix. Just one formation lap before these guys go racing on the iRacing.com sim. Waiting on the green flag here, the Geico restart zone. Cody Neal with the option to get this race started, and we are off and away for 200 laps at Phoenix Raceway.
Caution already on the speedway, Andrew. Big wreck in the back.
Caution immediately. Kyle Turzak, Robert Bluen. And Turzak's damage is terminal.
They're spinning up in front of him as well. Jacob Smith got around. He's down on the apron. Looks like a few drivers didn't get the memo that the yellow flag was out on the racetrack.
The Crow Sim Shots, Team Watson Racing setup, Chevrolet Camaro that did so good out at Bristol, and his initial start here in the Icon Cup Series is going to be out here at Phoenix, spewing oil and, well, figurative oil and smoke out of the back end of that Chevrolet. Kyle Turzak's day will come to an end on lap number 1. Let's take a look back at what happened into turn number 1. And this is right, and I mean right, in front of Brian Smith.
Just how close this was to that 78 car.
Literally the row in front.
Oh, man, just miscommunication right there on where drivers were going. That's a big hit right there.
Yeah, it is. That's a miscommunication is the best way to put it, I think. We'll watch it back here from the blimp. Turzak's going to come down off of the banking and try to go low. Robert Bluen was still up on the racetrack. I think Turzak was expecting him to be lower. I'm not really sure. I think that's just a rookie mistake by Kyle Turzak.
From the onboard here on Turzak. Turzak comes down the racetrack.
I think on lap 1, that's just a little bit aggressive to be turning down right there. Not knowing, especially being your second race with the field, not knowing what these guys are going to do. We'll slow it down here. Bluen did come up a little bit higher than a lot of cars, but he was following right behind Eric Smith. So he's in a perfectly reasonable racing line, and Turzak was just expecting him to be lower.
That's the one thing that comes with the dogleg here at Andrew. A lot of people think that the driver underneath him is immediately going to the dogleg, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. You know, and it's been said many times that going on the dog leg too much can burn up the tires a little too much on these cars, and there you see the hook, and oh man.
Unfortunately, that will just about end Robert Bluin's season. Terzak is done, and Bluin is now in the pit lane taking extensive repairs to his number 99 Chevrolet Camaro.
And we've actually got more cars out of the race than I initially thought. Ray Lane did not even make the start of the race from what it looks like, and Travis Gilbert didn't make the start of the race either.
So I believe they show up for practice now, but do not start the race, as that would disqualify them from Rookie of the Year in 2025 if they were to make any more races this season.
Gotcha. That definitely does make sense then.
Well, let's look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details. Didn't get a chance to do so pre-race, so we'll do so now. 200 laps, a 36-lap stage number 1, 75-lap stage number 2, and 89-lap stage number 3, by my count of laps anyways. And then 4 change sets in the pit lane, no fast fix. The incident penalty has been the same all season long, and that fuel run, 60% fuel load, should be about 53 to 57 laps each time, give or take. So expect that number to fluctuate a little bit over the course of a longer run, but as we are already 5 laps into this 200-lap race and 36-lap stage 1, we're going to turn things back over to Cody Neal and Nathan Finnegan. Finnegan now on the front row for this restart. Tay McDonald lost some spots. Let's see what happens here into the Geico restart zone. For the first time as a restart, we are back green at Phoenix. Finnegan into the outside wall, another car in the wall hard. That was the 14 of Gladulich, but here comes Widener. He's going to move ahead of Nathan Finnegan on lap number 6.
Don't count this like the normal NASCAR playoffs, ladies and gentlemen, because Charlie Widener needs a little bit more than to move in front of Nathan Finnegan here. He's currently 6 points down on that number 6 car. Call it about,
9 points.
Call it about 7. Well, oh yeah, that's right. Finnegan's leading. Okay, so he's 9 points down. At the moment, that would put him 10 points down, being Finnegan in front of him at the moment. So, he needs to get at least 10 spots for a tie. And I believe the tiebreaker would go to Finnegan, and he needs 11 spots to win the championship. So definitely the underdog here coming into this event. Finnegan in 3rd, Widener 4th.
A lot of cars getting that turn 2 wall. There is a spin in the back. It's going to include Brad Delph, and it looks like Cody Eldred in turn number 2. I was mentioning a lot of cars getting the turn 2 wall. Even Cody Neal, leading this race, got the wall that time out of turn number 2. Let's see what happened here between Brad Delph and Ryan Patty to begin this crash into turn number 1. I want to call it turn 3 still, but it's turns 1 and 2 down there on that end of the speedway right by Rattlesnake Hill. And Patty on the inside, Brad Delph outside. Delph just came down a little bit. Patty was there. Delph tries to hang on, ends up into Eldred, and boom, outside wall.
That's a hard hit. Definitely a lot of things going on the racetrack right now, and I will say the radio communications during everything going on were not exactly the greatest in the world. So a lot of tempers on the racetrack right now, and there's the hit. Boom. Definitely a hard impact for that 72 machine. It looks like Delph got a black flag throughout all this chaos. I'm not sure what it's for, but definitely the best way to put it, you're kicking a man while he's down right there. There's a hook. Boom.
Nothing Cody Eldred could have done there in his situation. Here's Eldred's POV. He sees it happening in front of him. He tries to get the car turned down the racetrack and did a great job of it. Unfortunately, Delph just kept coming down the racetrack, and Eldred had to lock her down to keep from going into the pit lane there.
Luckily, no black flag for an unsafe pit entry.
Was able to miss it, but will now come into the pit lane under caution and take service.
Into the security of his box. Eldred's probably going to get some damage repair on that machine. Maybe not put some tires on it just yet. Only 11 laps in. See ooh, almost a little bit of a hit right there on Eric Smith as Eldred came out of his box. He's going to be out and away, squeaky clean from the looks of it, and rejoin the field as they roll through 1 and 2 at the moment. I made a mention earlier, Andrew, that the race control, or not, excuse me, the race control, the race communications were a little spicy. It seemed like Robert Roth was a little irritated with Sean Purcell. I'm not sure why, or if any of it was directed at Sean Purcell, but he made a very decently worded comment of something you see at Days of Thunder. He'd put tires on the car, come back out here and wreck them. So, like I said, things are getting a little heated up at the moment.
It's interesting how these guys are getting as frustrated as they are this early in the race. A long ways to go to wrap up this season. Sean Purcell rides in the 8th position. Robert Roth rides in the 9th position. We'll have to watch these two on the restart, as of course they'll restart, well, near each other. The Aldine Golf, Toyota Camry, just ahead of that Chevrolet of Ford Mustang rather, of Robert Roth. Cody Neal going to lead the field back around to the restart zone this time by and get this race back underway. Well, we can take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. Next up, we head out to the Atlanta Motor Speedway to kick off the BRP Butt Kicker Cup Series. And, oh, Adam Buzzio, I'm so sorry. That's the old logo. Oh, I've done it. It's the old logo. I'll fix that, I promise. But, yes, the new BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series beginning on November 12th at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Then Wednesday, it's out to Charlotte with the SimRap Market Series. And Thursday, a new season begins for the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series Super Late Models, kicking things off at USA International Speedway. Into the Geico restart zone we go. Cody Neal launches and gets a big restart over Kyle Purcell and Nathan Finnegan. Three wide cars everywhere down to the first turn. Adam Ball on the inside of Jacob Smith, and they figure things out, get 2x2 by turn 1. Whoa, Jacob Smith.
Jacob Smith.
Smith
Big
and Purcell.
right there.
Yeah, Smith and Purcell, a lot of contact off the second corner.
That was pretty hair-raising right there. As you see them all getting spaced out. 3 wide, 4 wide.
Oh, Adam Ball into Brian Smith, the 78 with a ton of damage. He can get it fixed. I think that's going to be mostly superficial as there's more crashing in the background. Patinko around. Adam Ball, of course, in trouble. And Adam Ball's day is done.
I can assure you that Brian Smith is not very happy with what just took place.
Part of it.
No.
It's part of it in this format. You've got to be good to the very last drop. And while he... You know what? I'm not even going to fault Adam Ball. I'm going to fault the qualifying mistake from Brian Smith.
That's a bold one.
Well, if not for that qualifying mistake, where would he be? Likely in the front of the field. Likely ahead of Adam Ball, making the exact same mistake that Brian made in qualifying. And I know Brian's not going to see it that way until later on, maybe, if ever. But I think as a third party, you look at why Brian is there in the first place, it's that qualifying mistake. Let's look back at what happened.
As much as I'd like to disagree, I've made that case on many points for many different situations. Taking a look back now, Adam Ball made the transition. He did exactly what Brian Smith did in qualifying. He just got loose on the transition, and Brian Smith got on 2 wheels. You see Evan Patinko spinning around behind him as well. He doesn't look like he got too much damage out of that. So this is developing into probably something we could see going through the rest of the race. Guys just getting loose on the transition.
We watch back a little bit further here, and we're going to notice as well something with Robert Roth. He's going to go clear to the outside of the racetrack in turn 3. Wanted to note it since he was racing with Sean Purcell. Robert nearly got in the back end of Brian Smith. So nothing with Purcell, But since we saw those two were in close proximity, we wanted to check in on it. But here you go, Brian Smith, blindsided and up in the air.
I hate
get
to be
it.
the bearer of bad news, Andrew, but Brian Smith has a pit for repair flag.
Oh my gosh.
He just got it cleared. Being in the pit lane right now, he's getting his damage fixed. He's actually rolling out of the pit lane right now. But that right front tire, I think it's a little towed out, Andrew. That steering wheel might not be pointed very straight at the moment.
Well, let's ride on board with him one more time for the replay. And then check his damage in live time. This has been an eventful 17 laps for sure. Here's Adam Ball on the very top of the racetrack, getting loose. Oh, that's a big hit. The toe doesn't look initially to be that far knocked out for Brian Smith, but I understand the frustration for sure.
See where he's at on the straightaway here.
I've seen a lot worse.
I have seen a lot worse as well. He just got back to the security of the pit lane. He wants to stay on the lead lap, and he's got to prioritize staying on the lead lap as well.
Oh
so
boy,
there's
look at that
not
fender.
much that you can do otherwise, but looking at the field, the pace car is going down the back straightaway right now, so Brian Smith fixing whatever damage he can while still trying to stay on the lead lap. There you're looking at it. There's the right front fender. Now he's getting back rolling. Pace car not to him yet, so it looks like Brian Smith will stay on the lead lap. There's the pace car in the background. He'll make it to the end of the pit lane. He'll get lined back up, get back out on there on the racetrack, but this has just made his championship that much harder.
We'll watch here to see just about how straight or not straight that 78 car is. Down the back straightaway, we'll get a good idea. I think it looks okay.
It could be worse. It really could.
I think
And
it
as I
looks
say
okay.
that, real quick, had to knock on some wood. Don't want to get yelled at later for a commentator's curse.
We'll wait and see exactly what the damage is like for the 78 car, but it looks, I would say, okay for right now as the field works down the back stretch to turn number 3, and eventually the Geico restart zone once again. Cody Neal continues to lead this race. Nathan Finnegan, Kyle Purcell, Jacob Smith, Charlie Widener, your top 5. Down to the Geico restart zone. Early restart there from Neal. Green flag back in the air in the desert. Jacob Smith in the wall hard off of turn number 2.
Another impact for that 21 car, Andrew. He's definitely showing the wall that he likes being there, for lack of a better term, because he's hit it a couple of times now, but hey, he's still rolling. Hopefully not too much damage on that 21 car.
See the big jarring hits to the pavement down onto the apron and back up onto the banking. We check in with Brian Smith, who works in the midfield now with all that right side damage. Of course, you hate that that happened to him, but I go back to the qualifying mistake. Why was he in the midfield in the first place? Because he did the exact same thing in qualifying. A small mistake, the landing off of the banking onto the flat of the racetrack there, cut the apron. The car got loose and got away from him. He did exactly what Adam Ball did. Got loose, spun out. Brian's case, of course, ended up in a harmless incident. All it did was keep him in the back of the field for qualifying. Adams, of course, took out the 78 car, or well, didn't take him out, but put him up in the air and on 2 wheels, and time will tell just how impactful that ends up being to today's championship race. But for now, Smith runs in 16th, Finnegan runs 2nd.
Yeah, how about Finnegan? He's clicked off 2 fastest laps in a row. Took the 2nd spot over Jacob Smith. He's definitely showing that he's here to fight for this championship as he's working on the back bumper of Cody Neal. A couple of wall taps right behind by Smith and Purcell. But Finnegan's closed the gap on Cody Neal. One driver who we've talked about all season. For lack of a better term, Andrew, the greatest to not win a race yet. Cody Neal's been in so many great spots and in contention multiple times to win these races and even to make the playoffs. And here he is again showing that he has the right to contend with these drivers and potentially lock up a win today. But we're only on lap 23. We got a long way to go in this 200 lap smorgasbord. So Cody Neal set the pace early. Nathan Finnegan just trying to see if he can put that car out in clean air and stay in front of the championship contenders.
You mentioning Cody Neal as one of the better drivers not to win this season, I think is very interesting. He and Charlie Widener, I'd say, are the best two to not win a race. Widener fighting for a championship. Neal, by virtue of missing some races, not in the playoffs this season at all. Here's Charlie Widener, who has slipped back to the 7th position. So far today, just not jiving with this racetrack, it seems like. Falling back through this top 10. He was 5th, lost a spot to Patty, lost a spot to Gunther, and now watches both cars as they split the apron. Gunther making the pass here on Patty.
Patty running a way high line, and you see Widener move back in front of Purcell. Just trying to hang on to that spot. There's another move right there. Ryan Patty down underneath Gunther, trying to take that spot back away, riding the yellow line into 3 and 4, but that high line definitely prevails here at Phoenix Raceway. But going through the dogleg, Ryan Patty should be able to clear, maybe not, still side by side, rolling into turn number 1.
Patty gets held up there on the inside of the racetrack. Can't use all the racetrack. Has to keep it down low and got a little bit tight. Meanwhile, Nathan Finnegan is right on the back bumper now of Cody Neal, within 2/10 of the 4 car and looking for first.
We're rolling up on the stage end here in about 10 laps, Andrew, so there is a lot to contend for. Not for these playoff drivers, though. They do not get stage points. So you're looking at the rest of the top 5 to earn some stage points. Cody Neal, he's going to bag himself 5 extra bonus points if he's able to keep that car in front of Finnegan until lap 36. Jacob Smith, Kyle Purcell, Gunther, they're all vying for stage points as well. Ryan Patty not in the playoffs anymore. He's getting stage points, or at least trying to hold on to the spot he has in the point standings right now. Finnegan running a bit of a higher line here in 1 and 2. He's going to try to cut it down onto that yellow line, get a bit of a run here. He closes the gap a little more and shows that cutting down off the corner can help on that straightaway speed.
Brian Smith, meanwhile, into 15th spot. We did have some cars pit under these earlier cautions. Tate McDonald is one of them. Tate McDonald not taking tires, has taken fuel only, is into 9th spot. Not sure if maybe there's a balance thing going on there for the 29 car to move him back through the field, but Tay is moving forward. As we watch Finnegan on Neal. Laps winding down at stage 1. A mistake there out of Neal. Here comes Finnegan to the inside.
Yeah, but that inside line is not going to do him too well as he rolls into turn number 1. Neal runs a high line. Was not expecting that, but he's going to do the same thing Finnegan did. Cut back down, pinch him off exit, gets a big run down the back straightaway, and I think Cody Neal is going to get clear. No. Little camera angle illusion right there. Cody Neal still alongside Nathan Finnegan going to the start-finish line. Give that lap to Cody Neal as we've got 5 laps to go. Actually, 6 laps to go in stage number 1. Cody Neal still hanging tough on that outside line, Andrew. He's not giving up this fight too easily.
No, he's not. Has the advantage down the backstretch out of turn number 2. Running the outside line. Dives into turn 3 and has the spot back away from Nathan Finnegan, who sits back and I think is going to accept his fate. Realizes he doesn't have to fight for the stage. He's just here to get to the end of lap 200 as quickly as possible, ideally in first place, but certainly at least 3 spots, or I guess within 3 spots of Brian Smith, within 9 spots of Charlie Widener, and Finnegan can win this championship. That's all it's going to take.
Yeah, talking about Brian Smith, he's still up in the top 15. He's not really falling away with that damage he has on the race car, and as we get closer to the end of the stage, that's going to give him ample opportunity to get some more damage fixed and put 4 tires on that race car. But Outback Motorsports machine still trying to find his way to the front. His day's gotten very difficult, Andrew, and by your opinion, he's done it to himself for the most part. I can't really disagree. The mistake in qualifying, putting himself in the position to be involved in these back half of the pack wrecks. So Brian Smith really just trying to dig himself out of a hole that keeps getting deeper.
Well, he's the best to do it in the Icon Cup Series, I'd say that much. 15 wins this season, looking for 16 here this evening. That would be nearly half of this season. I'm not sure on the percentage. We'll have to figure out the percentage here as the night goes on, but it's a very large one, that's for sure, as we work into the 2 laps to go this time by for stage 1. There we go, 2 laps left in the stage. Then again, works high here of Cody Neal. Gets to the outside line and is going to have the run off of turn number 2, maybe, just maybe, or not.
Maybe Cody Neal showing just how strong that car is right now.
Maybe. Here we go. Final lap of stage 1. Then again, looks to the inside here. We'll take that inside route. Cody Neal on the defensive as we work down to turn number 1.
Jacob Smith has closed the gap in. He's seeing that these guys might take each other out and let him walk away with a stage win, but it looks like Finnegan is going to have a nose in front coming off of turn number 2. Cody Neal says, no thank you, sir. I'm going to try to hang on to it, but down into turn number 3, off of turn number 4.
Here we go.
Start finish line is a little further down, but it looks like it's going to be
wow.
Cody Neal.
By a nose. So Cody Neal.
38 hundredths or 38 1,000ths of a second.
And Cody Neal will win stage number 1, just hanging on over one Nathan Finnegan, who's fighting for the championship this evening. Charlie Widener comes home 7th in stage 1, Brian Smith 15th.
Lots of differing strategies throughout the field as we hit the end of stage 1. There's so much still left in this race, Andrew, and if that's a precursor for how the rest of this race might go, I'm going to be sitting on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Well, let's see which way these guys go for pit stops.
Pit road's open. Here we go. Ryan Patty stays on the racetrack.
Wow. He hasn't come in for fuel at all yet, so... You know what? You have to make a stop in stage 2. You have to make a stop in stage 2. I think that's what he's going for. Is he's going to save a set here, make a stop in stage 2, and try to go to the end of the stage that way. I think that's his game plan.
Well, it looks like he's going to be joined by a number of drivers. Adam Ball and Brad Delf stayed on the racetrack. Neither of those drivers laps down except for Brad Delf. He's 2 down. He's trying to see if he can get a little bit of laps back. Should be the free pass here. Robert Bluen stayed on the track to get a little bit of laps back as well and maybe take a wave around. And it looks like the race off of pit road is going to be between Neal and Finnegan. See a couple of cars coming at him.
And Gladgelich will get out second. Gladgelich with a 2-tire call. Cody Neal will lead the race off the pit lane.
It's like Gladgelich made it out in front of Neal, but I think that's just changing in the hands as they roll out of the pit lane. No speeding penalties, Andrew. Nobody with black flags at the moment. You see Bluen taking it to the box to get some damage fixed. He's 22 laps down. Cody Neal's going to roll right back in front of Gladgelich and take over where he was at originally. So Neal's going to line up 3rd now, with the only drivers still out on old tires being the front row.
Well, let's talk to driver number 4, stage 1 winner this evening here at Phoenix Raceway. A good start to the day here for you, Cody. You started this race from pole position. You win stage 1, but by just a nose. How can you stay up here and play a playoff spoiler for the rest of these guys later on today?
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm sure going to give it my best shot. If I recall correctly, I won Phoenix the end of last year, so... Hopefully we can repeat and play spoiler, like you were saying.
Now, over and over, we've made the argument you should have been in the playoffs. Do you feel like you should have been in this Final Four fighting for a championship this season?
Yeah, I think I definitely should have made the playoffs. I mean, I had some stuff come up with work and whatnot and had to miss, unfortunately, enough weeks to bounce me out. But we'll be back for next season and give it another run.
What does the effort look like for you guys for 2025? I know everybody's getting their 2025 plans set. A lot of new teams entering the league. What are the plans next year?
We really haven't discussed that just yet, but I'm sure there will be some shakeups, and Only time will tell, I guess.
There you go. Cody Neal, winner of stage number 1. Hopefully we're talking to you again later.
Thanks.
And he'll restart here for stage number 2 on the outside of Ryan Patty.
Yeah, Adam Ball took it to the pit lane from what it looks like.
Well, if you recall,
where he went.
He was in that crash, of course, the catalyst of that crash with Brian Smith, so he may have been staying out in hopes to get more time to repair the car.
That is fair. Well, Andrew, Cody Neal up top, Ryan Patty on the bottom. First driver on old tires is obviously Ryan Patty, and then Gladjulich on the bottom with 2 tires. So this is going to shape up to be an interesting restart here.
And Brian Smith is finding his place in order here at the back of the field. And here we go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. We are racing once again at Phoenix. Old tires on that 30 car of Ryan Patty out front. Then Gladjulich on 2, Neal on 4.
Big accordion on the top line from Cody Neal on back. So it looks like everyone's going to get it sorted out. We are spreading out throughout the field. 1 car in the wall back there. That's actually a couple of cars in the wall. One of the Purcell brothers. They get Tinko hit the wall towards the back. But Charlie Widener is trying to see if he can find a way through, get up to Finnegan, and close these spots up so he can try and put himself in a spot to win this championship. Up front, though, Ryan Patty, Cody Neal, Jacob Smith. The next playoff driver in line is going to be Finnegan in 4th, and then Gilbert and Gladjulich are fighting for 5th. And Gunther going around.
Gunther, big problems here in the middle of the field. He's falling back in a hurry. The car is straightened out for now, but he is down a 19th spot. And it looks like he'll continue on now. This puts Brian Smith back in the top 15, by the way. He gets ahead of Robert Roth, and whoa, 1 car is spinning ahead. Who is it? That is Widener on the inside with problems.
He's going backwards real quick.
He's got right front damage as well. That's now 2 championship competitors, the other 2, aside from Nathan Finnegan, who runs in 4th, with problems here early in this race.
And I think we'll see Kevin Gunther heading to the pit lane soon. I don't know what that contact was, but it looks like he's got a pit for repair flag, so he's got to take it to the security of the pit lane. But it looks like Widener is going to keep that car on the racetrack after that incident he just had.
A moment there with Sean Purcell. Purcell came off the wall in a hurry and just completely caved in the right front of Widener's car. Widener got loose out of turn 4 there. That's what kicks this off. Purcell goes by and then comes down, gets into Widener. Widener does a fantastic job of saving the race car, though. That was beautiful.
I think Finnegan's just sitting up front saying, this is getting easier as the yellow flag is out on the racetrack.
Caution for Logan Romney.
Not hearing some happy communications. Looks like Brian Smith got involved in that one as
yeah,
well.
More damage for the 78 car. So let's see, Romney here was up ahead and racing with, it looks like, Cody Eldred. Romney gets loose into turn 1, tries to hang on to it, gets free onto turn 2, spins down and right into Brian Smith. You're kidding me.
Guess who has a pit for repair flag?
Brian Smith.
Evan Patinko.
Oh.
But yes, Brian Smith as well. I thought I got you there, didn't I?
Oh boy, it's the classic try to hang on to it, try to hang on to it, try to hang on to it, and then boom, there's a race car there.
Yeah, Evan Patinko out of this race as well. You see that right front disconnected. Brian Smith, more damage on that race car. This is just making his championship hopes that much more difficult. Look at Romney has taken that car to the garage. He is out of this race as of this incident. See him just, I think he just got a little too hot into the corner there, Andrew. He's trying to catch it. He's chasing up the track. That's the one big thing about these race cars, Andrew, this next-gen race car. It's so hard to catch to the right-hand side with this racket pinion steering. A lot of drivers say that the car just completely goes away once you snap it to the right. No feedback, no nothing whatsoever. It's like there's no steering wheel, there's no control over the race car.
Here's the perspective from Brian Smith. Nothing he could have done.
He just cranked it left best he could. gets hooked around, and that's just more damage. You see Blue in there. He gets a little piece of it while trying to miss. Giving you updates here on Brian Smith. Still has a pit for a repair flag as he's sitting in the pit lane. That wheel's got to be cranked to the right, Andrew. It cannot be centered.
Well, he's in the pit lane now. We'll get an update here shortly. There's a lot of wheel input, it looks like. Yeah, it is cranked to the left right now in pit lane. See if he releases that input where it's at. But right now, it's not looking good with the 78 car.
Waiting to see how things are going. Evan Patinko and Brian Smith are the only cars sitting one lap down at the moment, but Brian Smith has better eligibility to get back on the racetrack. His required repairs are done. He can get that car back out there on the racetrack. Pace car is coming back around through 3 and 4, and it looks like he's going to get it back rolling. He's going to get in front of Evan Patinko and be scored. The first car 1 lap down. That is what's going to keep him in this race, Andrew. That is going to keep him on par with these drivers that he is contending with at the moment. But like I said, he's digging himself out of a hole that keeps getting deeper.
We're coming up on a quarter of the way through this race now, and he has got lots of right side damage again. Even more than he had previously. Let's take a look at the wheel and see how cockeyed it might be.
Wow, that's surprising. He's still relatively straight.
It's a little off to the left now. This is disaster for the 78.
I think it's better to have that wheel pointed to the left than it would be pointed to the right. But you can see the correction he's doing just on the straightaway alone. He's gonna, oh, he's getting loose. He's getting loose under the caution, Andrew.
He'll pull up here and get in line. And
we're getting ready to roll back green.
That we are. From the fan cam here for the restart. Cody Neal, Jacob Smith, Nathan Finnegan, Kyle Gilbert, Jacob Gladgel at your top 5. Green flag back in the air, 50 complete, 150 to go.
Cody Neal is spinning! I thought for a second
wall.
he was dropping back. The camera angle didn't do it too much justice. But Cody Neal has spun from the race lead all on his own.
A rattlesnake hill perspective hit it a little bit as he was along the outside wall. The car looks okay, but he is out of the race lead for the first time this evening. Well, technically not the first time. Ryan Patty did start there the last restart.
What a heavy hit for that 4 car, though. And I don't mean to the wall. I mean to the fact of just going around. It looks like he caught a little too much on entry. Spun it right around, locked it down. He backed it into the wall a little bit. Not too much damage on that race car. Adam Ball said,
wow.
I'm going to sneak on through right there. And he did a good job checking up, but that's got to hurt for Cody Neal.
That is a whole lot of lucky. I know he got unlucky. He made the mistake, but it was also a lot of lucky to not be hit by anybody.
Very, very lucky indeed. Keep going through the dogleg here. See how he goes in terms of gearing. He's up to 5th. He might have downshifted too early, Andrew, and it might have wheel hopped the car going into the corner.
And right here comes Adam Ball just to squeeze right through.
Getting that all but allotted camera time.
Now, where does this put Brian Smith in all of this? Oh my gosh, he was right behind 4 wide. He is just back in the hornet's nest, and he actually went for a bit of a slide on the restart himself. But he is going to get the lucky dog and be back on the lead lap of this race. Just needs a whole lot more to go right for him.
Now he just needs to get that car to the security of the pit lane and get a little bit more damage fixed so he can continue to roll forward in this race and hopefully keep his championship hopes alive. 15 wins on the season, Andrew, and it all comes apart in one race. That's the beauty of this type of format, Andrew. You can be consistent all season. You can absolutely hit every single thing right. He dominated so many different races, but you have one bad race in these last few races, and it just all comes apart.
I'm noticing he's got some right rear damage. The right rear is kicked in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm noticing that too now. Now that you mentioned it.
I think the right front's okay. I think he got hit in the right side, and it knocked out the right rear when that crash happened with, who was that? Logan Romney.
That's going to make him incredibly loose throughout the remainder of this race, unless he can get some of that fixed, maybe get these wheels back underneath him somehow. You know, you think back, Andrew, we've broadcasted a majority of the Icon Cup Series season. A few races that we did miss, you see that right rear get kicked back to where it needs to be, and he's rolling back out of the pit lane. Phoenix was one of the tracks that Brian Smith did not have a good run at in the early portion of this season. I think he got involved in a few on-track incidents as well that derailed his entire race, and now he's kind of experiencing a little bit of deja vu right now.
Yeah, everything going wrong for him. If I go back and I bring up that Phoenix race real quick, I'm curious as to where he finished in that race. I know Nathan, well, I'm doing it here. Nathan Finnegan won that race, but where did Brian Smith finish? I know he had some incidents there at the end.
I remember he had a big charge at the end after all of the cautions that could have potentially helped him win this race, and he ended up getting, I think, hooked or something towards the end right there. There you go.
Well, this leaves Jacob Smith out in control of this next restart. Brian Smith will pack up behind and take the end of the longest line as the lucky dog candidate and recipient. Jacob Smith adorning the Wood Brothers colors into the Geico restart zone as the race leader. He's off and away. Green flag is back out at Phoenix. And some cars sliding there through turns 3 and 4, but everybody's okay, no caution.
Keeping it straight, keeping it steady. As we roll through lap 57, Smith out in front, Finnegan, McDonald, Diaz, Gladulich, that's your top 5. Cody Neal's trying to work himself back to the front after a self-spin that took him all the way back here. And you think about all of the times that Cody Neal has been in contention for wins this season, Andrew, and all the times he either got taken out by someone else's misfortune or just not being able to make it. Now he gets taken out by his own doing. Now trying to see if he can correct that mistake, get back to the front as he currently runs all the way down to the 14th spot. However, you take a look at Charlie Widener, currently sitting 12th. Finnegan well in charge of the championship. He's 6 spots out in front, so call it about 15 points above, well, excuse me, no, he's 10 spots out in front, so call it about 19 points above Charlie Widener in the point standings right now. Finnegan has been having a picture-perfect race so far to continue his championship fight. You got one car coming out of the pit lane. I think that was Evan Patinko back there. As Gunther, I think, just tagged the wall back there.
And there's a little battle further forward, just outside the top 5, Josh Clemens and Robert Roth. Clemens sliding back, Robert Roth making up a spot. Sean Purcell there as well, Kyle Purcell. Ryan Patty complete your top 10. Gunther hangs on to the race car, albeit 2 laps down. And Brian Smith is, oh, Roth around into Purcell.
No caution on the speedway. We stay green.
Wow. Sean Purcell continues. And Sean Purcell's got a ton of damage. There's that right wounded 04. We'll get a replay here in a second.
He does have a pit for repair flag, so he's going to have to take it to security of the pit lane.
Watch Roth here in the 59 car off of turn number 2. Was low and slow and got tagged by the 04, I think.
We saw a few different communications early on throughout the race between Roth and Sean Purcell. So
got loose into the corner. Here's a slow-mo replay. Was low and slow, got free again, and got tagged by the 04. I mean, that's just racing.
And there's the heavy hit right there from Purcell. That's what's going to take him out of this race right now. But that's free spots, Andrew. That is free spots for guys like Charlie Widener, who are now up into the 11th place position. Cody Neal's cracked the top 10.
A replay here from Sean Purcell's perspective before we go back to live picture.
I just couldn't get loaded up enough in time. There's the hit.
Hardly even had time to realize that he needed to woe up.
Honestly.
Smith and Finnegan, your top 2. Tay McDonald runs in 3rd. Kyle Diaz 4th. Then 5th is Josh Clemens. 6th is Kyle Purcell now over Jacob Gladulich. The next good battle on the racetrack here is for the 9th spot. Kyle Gilbert and Cody Neal.
Everything changing up as the race goes on, and it's just becoming more and more clear how this championship picture is going to be painted. Finnegan still having a steady lead over the rest of his competitors at the moment. He's got to think. He's just got to be sitting there holding a pretty wheel thinking, let's not have any more slip-ups. Let's not have anything else go wrong that could take him out of contention from winning this championship.
A reminder, these drivers will have to pit at some point during this stage for fuel. They cannot go the entire distance of stage 2 on one tank. They've got to make it to lap 111. And that pit window has just about opened up as well. So if these guys wanted to pit early, if they expect this run to go green, they could. I don't think that's a wise decision. I think we'll see these guys play it safe and wait a while and run long here early and have a shorter run at the end of the stage.
We'll have to see how it rolls. There are so many different variables that could play out throughout this race.
We've had a caution-laden start through 67 laps, the first third of this race. We've got, let's see if we pull up the race infographic, 6 cautions for 23 laps. It's been a slow-moving start. So to expect the rest of the stage to go green, I think, would be rather unwise. I think you bank on a caution at some point, even if we've gotten spread out now, and you stay out as long as you can.
That you do. I mean, let's take a look here at our championship competitors here, Andrew. I mean, Finnegan, he's been really rolling with the front, so I think he's just kind of going off of either his own strategy or really whatever the leaders are doing so he can hold on to that track position. You've got Charlie Widener and Brian Smith. They've both been involved in on-track incidents. They've got damage on those race cars. So they're kind of rolling off and keeping on to the track position that they have, still trying to have pace while also trying to get their damage fixed in a way that they can still stay in good competitive spots. I mean, don't count Charlie Widener out just yet. He's got race-winning potential on the spotter stand with him as Brian Smith takes it back to the pit lane. That's going to put him laps down, looking on. Brian Smith has a pit for repair flag once again. He had to have collected a little bit of damage by maybe tapping the wall or something on the green flag run, but this is just making his championship hopes go even further out of reach.
A lot of right side damage to that 78 car. I think it will have come out of turn 2 potentially. Oh, right there
yeah.
in turn 1.
It's that gnarly hit. Probably pushed the right front end even more.
Was running on his own. Matinko down low. I don't know if that spooked him or what went on, but he got loose into turn 1.
Yeah.
Slides and boom, wall.
That's a heavy impact for that 78 car. Saying it before, Andrew, Brian Smith, the winningest driver on the season, regular season champion, he has pulled out all of the stops when it comes to putting that car into the Final Four, and giving himself the #1 seed and best shot at the championship. And last week at Martinsville, I wasn't able to be in the booth with you, but I saw how it all unfolded at the end. Brian Smith didn't exactly have the best luck towards the end of the race. Wasn't able to walk away with the finish that he wanted. Set him up for being, on the outside looking in when it came to the #1 seed. Finnegan 3 points ahead of him going in, and now as the race unfolds, it's just mistake after mistake, and now he's 3 laps down. And realistically, do we consider him out of this championship fight?
Not yet. You never know. You simply never know. We can have something really bad happen to the 6 car, and we simply never know.
Well, if you got something bad happen to Finnegan, then that just puts Charlie Widener into the hot seat. He was only about 6 points out from Brian Smith. So
Widener is only 7. Widener's only 7 spots ahead of Smith. So
put him 1 point above.
Right. So if Widener were to lose a position or 2, Smith could stay ahead of Widener. And
true.
There's that points cushion for a reason. Finnegan or Smith could have problems and still come out of this thing on top. We'll have to wait and see. But this is the battle, meanwhile, for stage number 2 between Finnegan and Jacob Smith at the front of the field. And Finnegan just looks good and better on this long run. The car just keeps getting better and better. He's got this place locked down, I feel like. He won here in the spring, and so far, in the fall, looks just as good, if not better.
He's showing them just why he's able to contend for these wins. 4 wins on the season, looking to make it 5, and he's looking to take that 5th in the championship as well. Those blue, black, and white colors have been so prominent all season. Look at Jacob Smith. Makes a little mistake on entry right there. That's going to allow Finnegan to have a big run on exit, but the outside line still prevails, keeping Smith in front. And still hanging on to that lead. And I do want to poke your brain a little bit here, Andrew, as we're on this long green flag run. Knock on wood so we keep it rolling. We have covered so many great races here with the Icon Cup Series this season so far. I got to ask you, what's your favorite?
I think this one here. There has been drama so far to get this race started. We have got a championship battle coming to a precipice, and right now a battle at the front of the field. Finnegan could get in deep here and make a mistake. You never know what's going to go on as Nathan Finnegan brings the fight to Jacob Smith for the race lead. See how crazy that transition is from banking to flat, back up to banking. And Finnegan's going to get into Smith.
Gonna shake him loose coming off of turn number 2.
Caution. Kyle Purcell in trouble.
Saw my camera pan over to Cody Neal, missing it just barely. This is going to set everything up. It's going to let Brian Smith maybe get a few laps back. You never know. But we look on Kyle Purcell. He's rolling past the start-finish line now. He hits the transition. Still got all 4 wheels on the racing surface. He goes into turn number 1. Catches the paint, slides it, spins it. Ryan Patty barely gets by.
Gilbert was even closer than anybody else, I feel like, other than Ryan Patty. Patty, I think
Charlie Widener.
Yeah, that was just a whole lot of close calls all around. But we've got pit stops. Jacob Smith will stay out, it looks like, along with Josh Clemens, Cody Neal, Kyle Gilbert. They all stay out, but Nathan Finnegan comes on in and brings a slew of cars with him.
Yeah, it doesn't help drivers like Brian Smith who want to be able... Oh, no!
Smith is done.
He's out! And then there were 2. Brian Smith has...
Called it a season.
He's taken about all he can when it comes to the on-track incidents, and that's his season done and over with. Unless there is some sort of major incident that ends up taking the 6 car and 95 far, far down the running order, it's pretty much all well and done for Brian Smith.
You know, I never like that. I never like when a driver calls it quits early. I don't know how much time he has left to repair, but I always like when a driver sticks through it no matter how long the repair is and is there until the very last lap. Especially here in the last race of the season. A season that you've put a year of effort into. I know it's been a night of disappointment, but I always like when a driver sees things to the end. I hate when a driver calls it quits early, but to each their own. We'll have a few cars staying out under this caution flag. Charlie Widener, one of them. I think that was a pretty important pit stop to make, though. I'm not sure you get a better opportunity to come in and pit for fuel during this stage. But Jacob Smith, Josh Clemens, Cody Neal, Kyle Gilbert, and Charlie Widener all stay on the racetrack, meaning Widener is currently ahead of Finnegan by 1 position and still has to pit here in this second stage.
Well, as we roll under this caution, Andrew, I think I'm going to respond to my own question that I asked you not too long ago. Favorite race we've covered so far this season? It's not the official season, but I'm going to say that I really, really enjoyed that craziness of a race that we called at Monza for their preseason. If you remember that one all too vividly, like I do.
Yeah, their off-season was a special time, we'll say, in the winter of 2023 into 2024. Some wacky combinations. They've got more on the way, so if you're a part of the Icon Cup Series, look out for that. They've got more off-season races happening in between 2024 and 2025. But here we go. Down to the Geico Restart Zone we'll go with Jacob Smith and Joshua Clemens, your front row. Finnegan and Widener, that third row that we'll be watching here on this restart. Finnegan on tires, Widener on old tires. Into the Geico Restart Zone we go. And a quick restart. Green flag is back out at Phoenix. Widener down low of Gilbert. Finnegan breaking in those tires. He runs now in the 7th spot, right behind Tay McDonald.
So much left to give in this race, Andrew. We're not even to the end of stage 2. Look at Cody Neal back up into 2nd. Things starting to swing in favor of Charlie Widener, though. 6 points down coming into this race. He was 7, running 1 spot behind Finnegan. Now he is, 6.
Remember, it's a 9-point gap from Widener to Finnegan entering this evening.
Why do I keep forgetting that? Thank you for reminding me, Andrew. 9 points down, call it 10, so 2 spots up, call it 8 right now. Now back to 9. Trying to stay in front of McDonald right here.
Old tires on that 95 car.
Railing.
A brush to the wall for Neal. Yeah, brush to the wall for Neal. And here comes Finnegan to go by the 95 car potentially. Finnegan's got brand new tires. Widener's got old tires.
I don't know the call on staying out on old tires, Andrew. It's risky business, especially as we're so close to the end of stage 1. Or excuse me, the end of stage 2. Because there's going to be enough laps ticked off that a lot of these drivers are just going to go back to pit road at the end of the stage. So if you're trying to get that track position and you're so close to the end of the stage where these guys might end up pitting again, what worth was it to stay out?
I'm not sure. You're going to have to pit still. I think you're waiting on an extra caution here maybe to have better tires later in the stage, but for Widener, I'm a little bit confused for sure. The other guys are going for stage points. I get if you want to maximize for stage points, but Widener's not going for stage points. He's just going for overall results at the end of the race.
And I said it earlier, Andrew. He's got race winners on the box with him on the spotter stand tonight. Michael Melfelt Jr. the guy who won the season opening race at Daytona, is up on the box, spotting for this 95, probably helping him with strategy and getting him to the end of this race. So you gotta ask the crew chief on this one, Andrew. What's the call here, and why exactly are we still on the racetrack as he continues to fall further down the running order?
My only guess is it's a play to try and save a set of tires, take fuel only here during the green flag or caution, whatever happens.
That's if you're banking on a green-white checkered finish.
And by the way,
With how green we've been.
Finnegan's not on 4, actually. I'm noticing this now. It looks like he's on 2. That or he might have taken fuel only. It's 7.6 seconds in the box. I overlooked that, so I apologize there. 7.6 seconds, that's either 2 or no tires. I'll take everything I said back.
Looks like Robert Lewin had a moment towards the back. Had to make a little bit of a save back there, but it looks like he's still rolling. My
excuse if I overlook anything this evening is that I'm coming off of a cold. That's my excuse.
And a trip to New Jersey.
Yeah, well, that cold, though, got me. I'm still in a brain fog, but here we go. Battle with Widener on the inside, Clemens on the outside. Clemens moving back in a hurry. Here comes Gladulich on tires. And Gladulich, I promise you, does have tires. As Cody Neal is going to fall victim to Tay McDonald. McDonald's trying to step through here and win the stage.
He's trying to bring Finnegan with him alongside Gilbert down the back straightaway into 3. The fight for second, nose in front for the 29. Cody Neal says, no thank you, sir. I'm going to try to keep fighting at the line, give it to McDonald for that second spot. He's setting his sights on that 21 car, trying to get clear of the 4. Looks like he's going to be able to throw it into this corner right here. Get clear, slide on up as Jacob Smith makes another mistake. Same thing he did earlier on when he was fighting with Finnegan. New race leader of the 29.
Tay McDonald to the point.
Cody Neal trying to slip on through as well.
Over Jacob Smith and over Cody Neal, over Nathan Finnegan as well in the 4th spot, who's just gone by Kyle Gilbert. Inside of 20 to go in stage number 2. Now McDonald came in for forward fuel under that last yellow, so that explains his rise to the front here. Here comes Finnegan in that 6 car, looking for 3rd place. Again, these stages don't mean anything to Finnegan, Widener, or Smith.
That they don't. Cody Neal trying to put that car back out in front now. See Nathan Finnegan rolling up on the back bumper. Call it NASCAR 06 or 07 because he just activated Intimidator mode to get by the 21.
Right to the back bumper there through 3 and 4. Goes Finnegan in the 6. Trying to get by Cody Neal for 2nd. A couple of battles further back. Ryan Patty, Brad Delph. They run side by side for 10th.
Ryan Patty hanging on to that spot over Delph. Widener right in front, who's continued to fall down the running order. Brad Delph is honestly having a really good run. He got involved in that crash early on, turns 1 and 2. Now he's kind of calmly put himself up towards the top 10. Ryan Patty gets way up high. He's going to draw the 72 alongside again, but it looks like the 30 gets clear. Call it in the sim, Andrew, and call it in the daytime, but the sun setting out of turn number 3 is blinding as ever as Jacob Smith takes down to the security of the pit lane for a green flag pit stop. Don't know how well that's going to shape up as we roll towards the end of the stage.
He had to, though. And he won't be alone.
I'm sure he'll be bringing Cody Neal with him very, very soon.
So McDonald assumes the race lead and pulls away now. Cody Neal assumes second. Finnegan assumes third. As we are at cross flags halfway this time by. Lap 100 of 200. And when we get back to the stripe, it'll officially be Tam McDonald's first time in the Icon Cup Series at the points, at the helm of the race at halfway. This time on a turn number 4, cross flags, 11 laps to go in stage number 2.
Started on the front row, and he's still showing that he's got that front row speed. And he's still hanging tough, but it looks like as we hit past the halfway point, we're going to see more drivers taking to the pit lane relatively soon, I would think, as Robert Bluin has taken that car behind the wall, and he is done for the day.
I want to give a nod to all of our partners here with Pit Stop TV, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. Another lap complete past halfway here this evening. Robert Roth and Charlie Widener now fight. Well, as this race progresses here, Zach, make a pick.
Don't ask me that question as soon, Andrew.
We've already seen half the race.
We still got half the race to go. Don't ask me that question until lap 199.
Fair enough. 43 laps led for Cody Neal so far this evening. 10 for Tam McDonald. Only 1 for Finnegan, surprisingly. Go ahead, Zach.
If I'm going to take a pick, called a long shot. I'm going to take Cody Neal. I think Cody Neal snapped his winless streak today.
Not a bad pick.
Did I steal your pick?
No.
Oh.
No, I think Finnegan. I think Nathan Finnegan goes back-to-back this year at Phoenix Raceway. Sweeps the 2 Phoenix races. He has been outside of all of the calamity. That's what you need out of a champion. And we're talking championship conversation now as Finnegan works to the outside of Cody Neal. Here comes Kyle Diaz, though, on the inside. Diaz with newer tires. Diaz using the dog leg, trying to go by for third spot. We'll have it here at turn number 1.
Little hesitation there. You thought you were going to call it turn number 3?
You know, it trips me up, even now. Some 5 years later or so, as Kyle Purcell knocks the wall down at turn number 2. Some 5 years later or so, it still trips me up. I still want to call it by the old corner numbers, start-finish line on the front stretch and whatnot, but...
We got a caution on the speedway, Andrew. Spinner.
Ryan Patty.
Ah, big impact by the 30 car. Waiting for confirmation from race control here about whether or not this would be the stage. I would assume not. We're still relatively close to the end of the stage.
Robert Roth just got in deep and swept up into the 30 car.
Stage. That is stage caution. Per race control. That will end the stage.
One more look back at it as Tam McDonald will win stage number 2. We see Roth just getting in deep into the 30, and Patty goes for a slide.
Well, not as big as an impact as I initially thought, Andrew. So Ryan Patty still well in contention and, well, pretty well looking still at the moment.
Stage winner, car 29, Tam McDonald here this evening, will win stage number 2. And we'll talk to driver 29 here in just a moment. Pit stops, though, going to wrap up here in a moment. There goes Jacob Gladulich off the pit lane. Here comes Kyle Diaz. Tay McDonald still first off the pits. We'll grab driver 29. And briefly speak with Tay McDonald, who wins this second stage. And Tay, it's a stage win for you here in the Icon Cup Series, your very first with the league. That's got to feel kind of monumentous in and of itself, but talk about the car, how it's feeling this evening, and if you can play spoiler to these playoff drivers.
Yeah, I mean, the car feels a lot better than I expected it to. Phoenix isn't one of my best tracks, and I know there's a lot on the line tonight, so just trying to be respectful. So the speed is kind of a surprise, but I'll take it. Again, just trying to be respectful and get my feet wet in this league. So yeah, let's go get it, I guess.
A long ways to go here, the longest stage coming up now. Is there any different game plan, or is it still just go out there and get what you can get early and try to hang on for later?
Well, I'm going to try to get the lead here from the 14, see if I can control the pace. I got one set of tires left, so I'm hoping cautions fall just right or no cautions at all.
If a caution does come out early, do you potentially go no tires and maybe just get fuel or stay out even and hope for that later caution? I mean, how do you play that?
I don't know. I think if you have more than 20 laps on your tires, you kind of have to come and pit. But again, just hoping we can keep it green and it plays out in my favor.
And Tay, as we just get to know you and your team here, is there anything that we need to know about Tay McDonald? Who is Tay?
Just a single dude that has a passion for racing and the time to do it. So hopefully I can give him a run for the money next season. I know a lot of the guys in the Racing for Freedom camp are pretty stoked about next season. So just trying to be respectful, get our feet wet this year, and go at it next season.
Settling in for 2024, getting ready for 2025. That's Tay McDonald with a stage win here at Phoenix. Congratulations, Tay. Hopefully we're talking to you later.
All right, thank you.
Teammates with Ray Lane, Kyle Diaz, Robert Roth, and more. Travis Gilbert out of that camp as well. I'm surprised, meanwhile, that Jacob Gladulich is still on the racetrack as we get ready to go green this time by. iRacing.com pace truck already to the relative safety of pit lane. And here we go. 89 laps left to go in this race. That's stage 3. We are green once again at Phoenix Raceway. Cody Neal to the inside of Jacob Gladulich. McDonald and Finnegan run side by side into turn 3. See, Zach, I did it right there. Called it turn 1.
Well, it happens sometimes, especially at Phoenix. Phoenix has gone through so many track reconfigurations. There used to be grass all down there, and this track used to be relatively flat. Now there's a lot more banking. It's a lot more open. These drivers have a lot more racing room, as we see Jacob Smith sliding on through right next to Adam Ball and looking up towards the front. Gladulich taps the wall, as well as Diaz, as Finnegan remains where he's been majority of the race, right there in second. The bridesmaid, but not the bride. But he just might be the bride tonight as we continue on in this race. Less than half to go. Charlie Widener in the 7th spot. Not much he can do other than try to get in front of Finnegan and see if he can derail that championship hope and make this 95 car a champion tonight.
It's going to take a lot out of Widener. It's going to take a nearly stellar performance. If not stellar, it's going to take nearly a race win, I think. And for Finnegan to have some kind of problem at this point. Now, thankfully for Charlie, there have been no stage points. So, Finnegan in those positions that would have earned stage points, not earning them, helps the 95 car. And Widener did have a solid run at the end of Martinsville a week ago. But you've got to be there. You've simply got to be there in this Game 7 style moment. And he just hasn't quite been there. He's been just a little bit out of it, a little bit behind.
That's what comes with this type of format, Andrew. You got to be on point. You just got to be there all the way, and you got to be willing to take these hits. You got to be willing to take these risks to keep moving forward. Charlie Widener still trying to play catch-up right now.
Meanwhile, barreling off into turn 1, you've got Gladgelich and Smith side by side. They race for the 8th spot. Of course, Jacob Smith saying, oh, of course. Now, well, hang on. I just noticed Kyle Purcell's out of this race. Surely he wasn't. He's 2 laps down now. Surely that was not the case just 2 laps ago.
Uno momento, por favor. And Patinko has also taken that car out of the race. He's done for the night. Not seeing any pit for repair flags. It comes to that 0-1 car, so.
Looks like he just pulled the car off, and that was it.
Well, right into the pit lane.
Coming up on 80 laps to go, Cody Neal leads this race. Nathan Finnegan second. It's been this formation between these two for much of the evening. Of course, Neal's performance has no impact on the championship. It's just Nathan Finnegan versus Charlie Widener now, with Smith 50 laps down and out of this race. We've got to sit down and kind of wait on this one, Zach. I mean, unfortunately, the way things have gone with everything that's happened to Brian Smith tonight, he's just out of it, and that takes out most of our battle. It was going to be fun watching him come back through the field and get back up to the front and try to battle the 6 car, but we were robbed of that, unfortunately. It happened early.
Andrew, like you said, the mistake was just
It goes back to qualifying.
That's what you called it. We've all been in that spot before. I've been in that spot numerous times in my racing career, and I've seen just how terrible it can make your race out to be. You know, a lot of people say qualifying is not always the most important thing in the world, especially at drafting tracks. Well, it can sometimes make or break your race. And today we saw it. Because if Brian Smith wasn't back there in the first place, he probably would have never gotten caught up in a lot of those things. However, you could say the argument could be made, Andrew, that there are times where even if he was up at the front, that something could have happened that could have still derailed his hopes.
Whoa, Gilbert! This race isn't over. This race isn't over just yet. Anything can still happen.
That's the 3rd time now that we've seen it, Andrew, the transition catching somebody out.
And I'm sure there have been a few that we haven't caught. Well, there's a YouTube comment asking about the Sarah Super Series, and we can take a brief look under this green flag run at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV as we ride on board with Charlie Widener. If anything happens to our second place competitor in the championship, we'll know. As we take a look at this graphic, the upcoming broadcast graphic, and yes, we'll be covering the Sarah Super Series beginning Thursday, November 14th at USA International Speedway. A lot of mystery races this season, mystery nights for the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series.
I'm looking forward to the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series kicking off.
Yes, starting things off for season 3 at Atlanta as opposed to Daytona. A bit of a difference from what you might be used to for most leagues on iRacing.
One thing I heard out in the rumor mill is that a very familiar face might be making some sponsorship contributions to that league this season. So excited to see where that goes.
As we rejoin with 75 laps to go, now 74. There's a pass there from Jacob Smith on the DeWalt number 30 of Ryan Patty, who slides back a spot. Patty out of the top 5 now, slides back to 6th. Widener has to view this as an opportunity to move up a spot. I mean, every position is going to matter here this evening. You've got to go get them.
I don't know if it's just from the fact that he's been in the wall a couple of times tonight, or maybe he got into somebody, but I did not expect to see that right front damage on that 21 car.
Yeah, it's a little surprising. Up front, Nathan Finnegan has gotten real close all of a sudden to this 4 car. And I mean close. Within a 10th and a half.
Nathan Finnegan has been on rails tonight. I think it's between him and Cody Neal for this win. Neal goes up the racetrack. Finnegan goes to the bottom, but the outside line is going to prevail again, and Cody Neal is going to keep on rolling in that race lead. He made a mistake early on, Andrew. It took him to the back, and now he's back up in front, putting it on a show for these guys, and hopefully trying to walk away with his first one of the season, snap that winless streak, and potentially show them that he deserved to be in this Final Four. Finnegan on the bumper. He's going to cross him up on the corner, but he's not going to be able to get there just yet.
"70 laps to go. I want to give another thank you to our partners with the channel, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. A thank you especially to Cody Williams Design, helping us look good here at Pit Stop TV. Our paint schemes that have been put together for the promotional graphics that you see each and every broadcast. What we do would not be possible without Cody Williams Design. That's another lap of the books here. Here comes Finnegan. Just keeps getting closer and closer to the back end of that 4 car. And here comes a run. Meanwhile, behind these guys, Kyle Diaz is coming under fire. Diaz has put together a fantastic race running in 4th, but is under pressure now from Jacob Smith, who runs in 5th. Smith got by Patty a while ago.
Patty tapping the wall back there a little bit, right behind Jacob Smith. Mostly single file as this race goes on, Andrew. I mean, this has been a relatively tame race. I say that.
First.
I was just about to say, I say that, and there's so much that has gone on.
8 cautions for 30 laps. 10 lead changes. The first portion of this race was rather rough and tumble. A lot of cautions here and there. Since about the halfway mark, things have calmed down. Really, since stage 3 began.
Well,
we're doing a lot of sitting and waiting. We covered a series earlier this season, the Sim Auto Racing Group, and they ran super speedways with trucks. So here we go. Finnegan finally gets to the inside of Cody Neal. They ran super speedways with trucks, and they would get into these longer runs where you just had to hurry up and wait. We've done that. We've hurried up. We've waited, and now we have a fight for the race lead. Finnegan to the inside of Cody Neal, and you know, Finnegan's the guy that if he's going to go and win this championship, he doesn't want to do it running second. He wants to do it winning this race. He's going to make the pass here on Cody Neal for first.
Cody Neal's fighting back though. Down on the inside, cross him over on the transition. Side by side, rolling into one. Neal throws it into the corner, slides up in front of Finnegan. But he's going to hang tough on that right rear quarter panel. They're going to stay neck and neck. Coming off of turn number 2. Side drafted, door hanging down the straightaway.
Don't want a door bang here. Certainly try not to. Almost some contact there between these two. Neil down onto the flat, trying to get some time back up on the 6 car, and slides in behind Nathan Finnegan now into turn number 1. Meanwhile, some battles here. Patty and Smith. Smith has fallen back off the 26 car of Kyle Diaz, and Ryan Patty's come back alive.
Continue to roll on through. Like you said, Andrew, just a lot of sitting and waiting at the moment. And as things shape up, look at Ryan Patty and Jacob Smith fighting right in front of Charlie Widener.
Again, Widener has to see this as an opportunity. Go up there and try to get these spots. Try to wrestle them away.
So much still left up for grabs right now, Andrew. Not just when it comes to the season championship as a whole, but just for this race. Finnegan's now stretched that lead out a little bit further in front of Cody Neal. And all the fighting throughout the field. You see Widener just throwing it into the corner right there. Something I'm used to seeing here at Phoenix. A lot of guys just throw it into turn number 3, drive it up off the corner. And they really just carry a lot of momentum. It's one corner that really benefits from it. And actually, looking through everything at the moment, I have just noticed Kyle Purcell, after taking that car to the pit lane, he has called it quits for the day. He is done for this race and for the season as a whole.
Unfortunate for Purcell. And he actually chimed in over on the YouTube chat, saying that he had an issue with an injured foot. Which would make a lot of sense now as to why he pulled off there suddenly and called it quits. Nearly down to 50 laps to go, and we're watching Charlie Widener, and here we go, a move from Ryan Patty on Jacob Smith. Patty to the inside, slides up. This might open the door for Widener.
A couple of times.
Yeah, we have.
Side by side, super tight through the dog leg. They didn't really give a lot of room right there. Patty still hanging tough on the inside. This is one time we really see the inside start to work a little bit. You know what? Scratch that. Oh, never mind. Jacob Smith hits the wall. They're still going to stay side by side. Patty's not giving him an inch. Caution on the speedway. Spinning right in front of him.
Tay McDonald.
Gliding from 4th.
Was running 3rd at the time.
Patty got Smith right there before the caution flag, so they're going to change hands.
Tay McDonald pulled up on Sean Purcell, and there's going to be contact down in turn 3. So watch here from the tower perspective, down the back straightaway, into the 3rd turn. Contact there, and McDonald goes to the spin.
Pretty calm spin right there, Andrew. Not a lot of damage on that car. I'm sure he's going to be... Oh my, excuse me. I'm sure he's going to be able to keep that rolling.
All things considered, yes.
Pit stops underway. Top 2, down and away. Look at Diaz. He takes the pick to stay on out. See the rest of the field coming into frame. They're pretty split up going into the pit lane right here. But our 2 championship contenders still in this fight have both taken it to the security of the pit lane. I think this is probably where Charlie Widener's extra set is going to pay off, because if we have another extended run like this, I think, would be Nathan Finnegan's last set.
Wait and see.
Into the box.
I think Finnegan stretched the set too, so I think they're going to have a set here and one more.
2 right sides up on the car. Left side's going up on it as well. Looking at Widener, seeing if he takes 4 tires. He does. Finnegan's going to beat Neal out of the box. Looking at the bloodline, you see Finnegan out and away. Neal right behind him, second off of pit lane. See a couple of cars in a gaggle back there coming out of the pit lane as well. Patty beats Smith. I think that's Widener right behind him. We see the rest of the cars coming into the security of the pit lane. A few stayed out, a few continue to stay out. Some of them getting laps back, some of them just staying out for track position. Looks like Robert Roth is going to take the lead.
So Roth and Diaz stay out. Diaz actually now comes into the pit lane along with the 29 of Tay McDonald.
Joshua Clemens as well. Sean Purcell getting more damage fixed. You see Gunther's in there getting some damage fixed as well. He had a lot of damage from incidents early on. Right now we got Roth, followed by, I thought Delph was up there in second, but it looks like Delph is 2 laps down still. So he's going to fall back. So it's Finnegan in second. Then you've got Neal, Patty, Smith, and Widener. Gilbert, Eldred, and Gladulich. And then Brock Hersey, your top 10. We're going to have about 50 laps to go when we take the green flag, Andrew. Just close to it. So 3/4 of the race down and away. We're into the last, really the home stretch of the season, the home stretch of the race.
Yeah, this will be the tail end of the season, the last quarter of this race. 50 laps or so to end the Icon Cup Series in 2024. Robert Roth going to lead us back around to the green flag. He's yet to pit here in stage number 3. Everybody else has done so. And, oh, Brad Delph missed his box, it looks like. Just reversed back to it. And we'll take service here.
Oh, they're doubled on up. Lights are out atop the iRacing pace truck. Down and away into the security of the pit lane. It's going to be the long crawl down the back straightaway after this reconfig has thrown it all around. And we got a lot less cars on the racetrack than what we started with, Andrew. Everything's been changing up, changing around, and it's time to settle this and get this out of the way for the championship.
52 laps to go at the Phoenix Raceway. Green flag in the air. We are back racing. Ryan Patty on the Mac bumper of Nathan Finnegan down to turn 1.
Big old bump draft from Ryan Patty to Nathan Finnegan. They're going to be side by side for second. Realistically, they're fighting for the lead as Robert Roth is on old tires. A little love tap to the wall by Nathan Finnegan. Down into turn number 3. Roth slides on up. That's going to let these guys close on in. Cody Neal's trying to pinch him. Maybe use Robert Roth as a pick. 3 wide for the race lead.
3 wide through turns 1 and 2. Roth on the outside, slowing down. Side by side they go for the race lead. Finnegan in the middle, and now on the outside, Roth in the wall. He's going to hang on to it.
Charlie Widener's going to benefit from that, from what it looks like, because he moves up into 4th, closing in on his championship rival.
Finnegan and Neal locked in a side-by-side. 50 laps to go, that time by the flag stand. Oh, and Neal slides up into Finnegan.
Still side by side down the back straightaway they go.
Neal the advantage into turn 3. Up out of the corner, it's going to be Finnegan at the stripe. How does it look down into turn 1, though? Neal on the inside, going to lunge up underneath that 6 car. And contact between the two. Neal trying to hang on to the race car, still sliding, just hangs on to the car.
Charlie Widener now in the benefactor position of gaining a spot, but it's not oh my goodness, it's not looking like, I got a little tongue-tied there, he's going to be able to pass Cody Neal, but a crossover move coming off of turn number 4, into the dogleg he goes, down underneath the 4, he's got to clear him quick, Andrew, if he wants to go catch Nathan Finnegan. Big runs through the center of the corner, but he's not going to get clear. Now Ryan Patty's going to pull one up. Might prevent Charlie Widener from getting in line. No, he's going to get in line, but he's still going to fight Cody Neal. gets a run off of turn number 4. Can he clear him going through the dog leg?
Side by side they stay. Neil outside, Patty inside.
Pushes him up. Little run right there, still side by side. That's what I said, Andrew. They got to clear him quick. Got to get rolling. Can't let Finnegan drive away. And Neil's going to run way high. Widener takes it. Neil in the wall. Now side by side with Patty.
Side by side now, Neil and Patty. 46 laps to go. It's interesting how the cream rises to the top. Widener has sorted himself out, got this car underneath him, and driven towards the front of the field, now top 3.
It's not going to make too much of a difference right now, Andrew. Looking at all things considered, Finnegan's still leading the way. And even if Widener was able to put that car out in front in the race lead, Finnegan's had such a good night. Do you really think he's going to drop far enough down the running order that Widener could win this championship?
Not without something very bad happening to the 6 car.
Well, we look on. 44 laps to go in the season. Thinking about the number 4, if we're going on 44, Cody Neal in the 4th spot. Wow, that's a lot of 4s. 4 car in the 4th spot with 44 laps to go. That is a lot of 4s. Now he's trying to take 3rd away from Charlie Widener, as we got 43 laps to go now. Ryan Patty's clawed his way back to Cody Neal. So this 3-car fight that we've got going on at the moment is about the closest battle we have on the racetrack, relatively speaking, up here at the front. Jacob Smith pretty well separated from Widener. Finnegan still out in front. Things are just getting shaken up again. Back to single file like we saw early on in the run. It looks like Cody Neal is not done trying to fight for it.
Neil back to the inside of Widener. A little deep into turn 1 there. Still side by side, lockstep formation between the 4 and 95. 61 laps to go in the season.
Bit of a wiggle right there. Patty gets a compromised line going into turn 1. Widener still up top. That brings Gilbert in. And Neal clears on the bottom. One of the first times all night we've seen someone clear on the inside line. So now back to single file. Now a 4-car race for this 3rd spot. Widener searching around a little bit. Cody Neal just wants to get back to the front. He just wants to show that he can win this race.
Smith in between Neal and Finnegan currently. Gilbert with a solid run, now P6. Glazulich 7th.
Cody Neal reeling in Jacob Smith from what it looks like 30 laps to go. Excuse me, 40 laps to go. Cody Neal trying to put that car back up into the 2nd spot. Widener's trying to follow him. He hasn't really lost touch with that Ford Mustang. As they roll down the back straightaway, Jacob Smith having a little moment right there. All's well that ends well for that 21 car, though. Jacob Smith, one of these part-time guys that has been very prominent in these last few races of the season. He's had a lot of good showings, a lot of good runs that, you know, we thought he might be in contention for some good race wins, for some potential to even make the playoffs if he wasn't a part-time driver. He's been very strong out of the part-time drivers, and he's still trying to hang on, see if he can lock up a win, maybe go full-time next season. You never know. That 21 has definitely made a statement as for if he can contend with these full-timers.
Been a solid season looking back on 2024 for Jacob Smith. I recall a couple of blemishes early in the year. Charlotte comes to mind where he made a mistake and took out a couple of cars, but hey, that's going to happen along the way. He's had a very strong 2024 campaign. I believe the first race he ran was Circuit of the Americas back in March. And he's become very much a household name in the Icon Cup Series ever since. Well, this time by will be 35 laps to go in the season. They just keep clicking off one by one. What do you say we do one old-fashioned Pit Stop TV Sounds of the Sim before this season is done? One more opportunity to kick back and just listen in on the sounds of these cars around the racetrack if Brock Hersey hangs on there. Oh boy. And just listen to what these guys have to offer here at Phoenix Raceway. We'll be right back. Joining back, Brock Hersey making a battle to the outside of Kyle Diaz. This is for a top 10 position right at 25 laps to go in this race and in the season. In fact, this next time by the stripe for Nathan Finnegan will be 25 laps to go this season. That's so weird to say, this season. Laps to go this season. Such a weird phrase, but that's the case. 25 laps left of the 2024 season for the Icon Cup Series. What a year commitment this has been. This is going to be emotional, these last 25 laps, Zach.
That it is. And you see on Nathan Finnegan 2 seconds out in front. You know, it's the storylines coming into tonight. You know, Brian Smith, the top seed, had a bad race at Martinsville, ended up below the points lead for the first time in how long, really, that we haven't seen that man leading the point standings. Got involved in too much stuff early on, took him out of contention. He ended up taking the car behind the wall and said he was done for the night. Now you've got Finnegan, who has, like I said earlier, had a picture-perfect race so far and has really propelled himself to the top. Charlie Widener currently sits in the 5th spot. He's done everything he can to put his season together and hopefully walk away with a championship, but unless something big happens to that 6 car and takes him out of contention and drops him at least 10 spots behind that 95, I think we are walking out of here with Nathan Finnegan as our season champion for 2024.
And the way this race has gone, there's only 12 cars on the lead lap at the moment. We still have some 17 in the race, but many are a lap down, if not 2 laps down. Widener lets one of those lap cars go by. That's Robert Roth, 2 laps down in 14th spot.
Fight for second, Cody Neal, Jacob Smith. Cody Neal has led a majority of this race, and I'm sure he wanted to be the one to be sitting in victory lane tonight, but with about 21 laps to go, call it 20 at the line, there's not much time left for that 4 car to really be able to put himself in a spot that he can win this race. Finnegan has just been so good as the 4 taps the wall. I mean, Finnegan's been really good, Andrew. The long run played in his favor massively, but he even started finding some speed on the short run too. So now it's just all around, that car has been amazing.
And with 20 laps to go, this race is just about decided. Everybody's got enough fuel to go to the end. Ryan Patty's run on the outside lane of the racetrack down in 1 and 2. I mean, we're waiting on this race to end, more or less. This is a rarity, a very much rarity here in the Icon Cup Series. This season has been filled with unknowns. Unknowns of how races would go, unknowns of how races would finish, unknowns of who would win the race, who would win this championship. For so long in 2024, it looked like it'd be Brian Smith or Vincent Loria, one of the two in their season-long rivalry. Well, Vincent Loria found himself parked these last 2 races of the season. A silly mistake, I'm going to be honest, a silly mistake of his own at Homestead had him parked these last 2 races, so that's 1 driver out of it, out of those 2. Brian Smith comes in this evening, a mistake in qualifying when he's already down and needing to qualify well. Ends up in the midfield. Ends up getting blindsided by another car having a mistake. Ends up out of the race. That leaves Nathan Finnegan the next best up, 3rd best driver I'd say this season, but was always there with them. I say 3rd best, only 3rd best by a little bit. Not by much. He was always with those other 2, contending for race wins week in, week out, contending for stage wins week in, week out. In a season of unknowns, the driver who it seems will eventually go on to win this championship was in front of us the entire time. While it wasn't Brian Smith or Vincent Loria, those 2 are out of it at this point. Nathan Finnegan has been there all season long. In a season where we never knew what was going to happen next. We might just have to ride out these last 15 laps knowing that Nathan Finnegan is the champion, potentially. Not yet. 15 laps to go. Well, 16 the last time by, 15 coming up. Anything can happen. I'm not sure.
Kyle Busch said it doesn't matter how much you save, because there's always going to be a green, white, checkered.
Who knows? We do have a battle here for second place. Cody Neal just went by Jacob Smith for second. Robert Roth is trying to go by on better tires. And Smith has got problems, man. He is just trying to hang on to the race car now.
Might have just burned up his tires over the course of the long run, and it's not really working in his favor right now.
Ryan Patty pulling up, looking for third. What a season it's been. We can look back over the schedule for 2024. So many memories. There were only a handful of races we couldn't broadcast. I think the last one was Talladega, maybe. Kansas and Talladega sounds right. No, it was the Roval. We broadcasted Talladega, I believe. It was Kansas and the Roval. We had issues with Kansas from Hurricane Helene. Broadcast technical difficulties at Charlotte. Before that, though, the last broadcast we didn't do, I think, had to be Iowa.
Father's Day weekend?
Yeah. And before that would have been Darlington. Before
Father's
that
Day.
would have been Richmond. There were only a handful of races we weren't here for this season. And guys, with the Icon Cup Series, just want to say thank you. Going into these final 10 laps, riding into the sunset for the season. Thank you to all the drivers. Thank you to all of the participants this season in 2024. Thank you to all of the admins. It's a little bit surreal. You know, we don't often take on year-long commitments here at Pit Stop TV. It's a, well, year-long commitment. That's a long time. But to have taken this one on with the Icon Cup Series in 2024 and seen it through to the end is special.
With 10 laps to go now, Andrew. 10 laps left in the race. 10 laps left in the season. Things continue to wind on down. Finnegan still building an ever-growing lead. 4.8 seconds over Cody Neal. Jacob Smith, Ryan Patty, Tay McDonald, and Charlie Widener. He's fallen down into the 6th spot behind that 29 car. Gladjulich, Gilbert, Eldred, Hersey, your top 10. Only 11 cars on the lead lap, about to make it 10 as Kyle Diaz is getting caught even further by Nathan Finnegan. As this race continues to get to a close. 9 laps to go. Count them, Andrew. Going to be 8 at the line. We still have time for there to be a caution and really throw this race into a chaos scenario, but I mean, with how spread out the field is, Andrew, I think the only thing we'll see that'll bring out a caution will be a self-spin.
Don't say it, Zach. You could have it.
Fans
The way
have
that
debris
transition
caution, anybody?
is, the way that transition is down onto the flat of the racetrack for the apron and the dog leg, you never know. But there's Nathan Finnegan trying to go by Kyle Diaz to put the 26 car 1 lap down. And he is in the lead in the race by 5 seconds. He's in the lead for the championship by some 15 points nearly.
And 12 seconds on the racetrack.
True. He's going to go by Kyle Diaz and put that 26 car 1 lap down. 6 laps to go then here at the stripe for the 6 car. Caution! Ryan Patty off of turn number 2. Nathan Finnegan's teammate.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? It don't matter how much you save, because there's always going to be a green, white, checkered. Kyle Busch said it and quote it. Coming off of turn 4. Front straightaway. And into the dogleg, right behind Jacob Smith, fighting for position.
He had to get down the binders.
Oh, no. He steps out, tries to catch it.
Oh, no. Watch out. Wow. Wow.
Call that a Code Brown moment.
nearly took the pace car line into the barriers.
Ooh, too soon for that one, Andrew.
Oh my gosh, look at how close this is to the barrels right here at the end of pit lane. Wow. You missed it on lap 69 of the NASCAR Cup Series race earlier today. The pace car took a header into the barrels at the end of pit lane. Nathan Finnegan, first car off the pits. Jacob Smith and Tay McDonald stayed out. Cody Neal, second car off the pits. Then Charlie Widener comes out behind Gilbert and Gladulich. They all took 4. Widener just took a little bit longer at his stop.
That's not what you need. That is not what you need at all.
That's 2 extra spots he's got to make up. On top of that, he needs Finnegan to be some 10 spots behind him. It is not looking good for the 95 camp right now. Finnegan's got to outlast this last restart. But boy, does it still look good for him. It's not going to be a ride into the sunset quite as easy as we thought.
But the sun's still shining. The sun is absolutely still shining down on Nathan Finnegan.
I wouldn't say shining anymore. I'd say setting behind the turn 1 and 2 grandstands. Or sorry, turn 3 and 4 now.
At least. I hate that the days are already getting short enough. I mean, come on, cut me some slack here, Andrew.
Well, we'll see just how much sunlight there is left at the end of this one as the field works down the back stretch here behind the iRacing.com pace truck. One more look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. While the Icon Cup Series comes to a close tonight, we begin 2 new seasons with the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series at Atlanta and the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series at USA International Speedway. From Atlanta to Charlotte to USA this week, a whole lot of racing in the Southeast on Pit Stop TV on the iRacing.com platform. The BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series, the SimRap Market Series for No Limit Racing, and the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. 3 fantastic leagues bringing you 3 fantastic races this week. You just got to tune in and catch them all.
Lights are out. Double up.
It'll be a natural.
Stayed out going for the win.
It'll be a natural green-white checker. Jacob Smith, Tay McDonald each stay out. Looks like they've made their stops. They're out of tires. And they're going to have to ride it out front on old tires.
Here we go. Do we see another attempt at a green-white checkered, or do we see them run it to the end? We're about to find out.
2 laps to go. A green lap, then a white lap. Let's see what happens. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. Here's the green lap. If this lap is complete, we get the white flag. This season is official.
Big jump by Jacob Smith into turns 1 and 2. He's going to roll it around the top. Nathan Finnegan trying to get the race lead back. They're going to come down the back straightaway. Smith goes defensive. They're all going to get single file for the most part, doubling up. But here we go, Andrew, through 3 and 4. We're going to make it to the white flag presented by Whiplash SimCam.
White flag is out. Brought to you by Whiplash SimCams on the season here for the Icon Cup Series. One more time around the Phoenix Raceway. Big dive from Gladulich sends the 21 up the racetrack. Gladulich going for it all on the last lap.
He's going for it. He's up to second. Cody Neal's trying to punch his way to third. But I think we're going to send it off into the sunset for Nathan Finnegan, Andrew.
Nathan Finnegan out of turn number 4 is your Icon Cup Series champion. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Icon Cup Series champion, Nathan Finnegan, this season. will win at Phoenix Raceway, will sweep Phoenix Raceway this season in 2024. He earned it, kept the car alive here in the final race of the season, burns it down. Might not have gotten that battle with Brian Smith at the end of it, but boy did he earn it.
A well-deserved, well-fought-for championship for Nathan Finnegan. We had a wreck coming across the line as well that collected Jacob Smith and Ryan Patty. But it's all said and done. It's all worked out for Nathan Finnegan. He's going to bring it home, take that win, and walk out of here a happy man. Gotta be a happy man for Nathan Finnegan.
I would say so, as we'll see if he pulls it down to the victory lane here at Phoenix.
Oh, he broke the right front.
Not sure how he did that, unless he's... Did he break it, or is he holding the brake?
Oh, he broke it. Well, he actually might be holding the brake.
I think he was holding the brake. We await his presence down in victory lane. Jacob Gladulich went up and got second place at the end of that.
I was quite surprised to see that, honestly. He definitely threw that car in there and made his presence known.
What a season.
Finnegan still burning it down. Well-deserved burnouts by this 6 car. Like you said, Andrew, I'm wondering if he's actually going to take it to victory lane. Phoenix International Raceway being one of the tracks in the iRacing.com sim that allows drivers to run their cars right into victory lane.
Well, he did in the spring, so I think he will here again this evening. He's just got to get back around to it. He's going to take the Polish victory lap, it looks like, at speed. Hey, he's earned it. He's done a whole season of racing here at the Icon Cup Series. He has earned this chance to burn it down a little bit extra, celebrate a little bit extra, and have his moment to shine. Looks like he'll bring it into the pit lane and head down towards. You might have forgotten the opening down in turn 3 and 4 to get into that little pit area. But here we go. Nathan Finnegan will bring it down to victory lane. Oh, and Gladulich is there blocking him.
He says, no, sir, I want to go to victory lane.
And wouldn't you know it, iRacing crashes. What a season. I can't. Oh my gosh.
Well, I can't tell you for certain. The Gladulich moved out of the way for him and was able to get Finnegan into victory lane. And boy, oh boy, like you said, Andrew, it's been one heck of a season for these guys.
And since the race is over, I can't rejoin the session. So that is all we'll see of the Icon Cup Series in 2024. Can't save the replay, can't rejoin the session. iRacing crashed on us. That's just the way it goes. Oh no. Oh no. Well, apologies there. We'll make do with what we can here at the end of this one. And still talk with our champion of Nathan Finnegan. Carly Widener able to go third. And just in case we can't do it, we'll try and pull up the results here for you. Looks like it'll still work for us. Nathan Finnegan, Jacob Gladulich, Charles Widener, your top 3. Cody Neal, Kyle Gilbert, your top 5. Tane McDonald hangs on for 6th. Cody Eldred 7th. Brock Hersey 8th. Ryan Patty 9th. And Jacob Smith, your top 10.
Throughout the rest of the field, though, you got Joshua Clemens, first car, 1 lap down. Only the top 10 cars were on the lead lap there at the end. Robert Roth, Eric Smith, Kyle Diaz, and Sean Purcell. They make up the top 15, with Purcell being the first car 2 laps down. And you had Delph, Ball, Purcell, Gunther, and Patinko. I was looking at the bottom there for a second, Andrew. And then right behind Patinko, when all things are said and done, we've got championship contenders that we did not expect to see this far down in the running order at the end of the race.
Yeah, Brian Smith out of it early. The message to Adam Ball in the league Discord, it's all good, homie. And that's the season wrapped up in 4 words for Brian Smith, I feel like. That is probably the only way he can describe it. We'll bring in series champion Nathan Finnegan. I believe you've parked it in Victory Lane, but unfortunately, Nathan, iRacing crashed right after the checkers, and that just feels like the most iconic way for iRacing to make the exit here at the end of the season. But the most iconic thing that happened on the racetrack is the 6 car sweeping Phoenix, as I expected, because, I don't know, it just felt like a Nathan Finnegan kind of day, and it absolutely was. A perfect day at the office for you. Walk us through what was the 37th and final race of the season, 5th win on the season for you. Congratulations as well, you're the champion.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, that would be how it would go. That's kind of been the storyline of our season in so many ways. And but yeah, no, I mean we put in so much prep, so much time this week getting ready for Phoenix, and I do really enjoy this track. It definitely suits my driving style. And qualifying was definitely the thing we needed to hit on, and you know we didn't need to hit pole, but I wanted to be up near the front to avoid some of the chaos that we ended up seeing at the beginning. And yeah, no, we just kind of wanted to keep it clean, keep our nose clean, and just take care of business. So,
and take care of business you did. A checkered flag and a championship for you this season. How does that, I guess, that has to sum up your season in a good way. Obviously, you're the champion. There's a nice tagline there, but sum up the season if you can for us in a few short words. Summarize it for us, because 37 races is a long dang time. A year-long commitment here in the Icon Cup Series. That's a long time.
Yeah, certainly, and certainly a marathon, not a sprint. Just focus on taking care of what we can control week in and week out. And you know, there's a lot of races I think we threw away possibly more races we could have won than we actually did finish off winning. You know, and hats off to the 78 and the 95. They both ran an excellent round. Definitely kept it tight and kept it super competitive. And yeah, I mean, consistency was the name of the game for a lot of the season, and that was our goal. And no, I mean, we couldn't be happier. And I've personally been in this position so many times with this group of guys in this league. This is probably my 3rd or 4th time being here, and every time I've come up just a little bit short. So to finally finish it off and get one feels really good.
And you mentioned the round that the 78 and 95 put together, trying to, of course, beat you for the championship. Small mistakes. It came down to small mistakes for each of them, and it seems like it was a picture-perfect round for you all told. You were 1 point behind after Homestead, 3 points up after Martinsville, nearly a win in each of those 2 races. You get the win to cap things off, an average finish of probably 2nd place, I think. I forget where you finished at Martinsville. Was it 2nd?
Yeah.
So an average finish of, what is that, 1.6, I guess? Second, and first. That's about as perfect as you can get without winning all 3 races. So Nathan, congratulations. Good to talk to you when it's all said and done here. Not just for the race, but for the season. And I gotta ask, 4 races ago, 7 races ago, 11 races ago, whatever, before each of the different rounds, going back in the season, was there any point where you thought you'd be talking to us here at the end of the season as a champion?
Honestly, not particularly. I honestly kind of expected to be talking to you guys maybe as the 2nd or 3rd runner-up in this final round. I knew we definitely had the pace in the car to get here. Just finishing it off just hasn't been in the cards for us. And you know, finally the chips fell where they did tonight. And I mean, this thing was on rails. You know, it felt like we could just put the car wherever we needed to. And once we got the clean air, that was pretty much it. You know, big shout out to the CCR, ECR guys. Couldn't do it without them. Definitely having my back all this race tonight, feed me, you know, let me know what's going on track all over the place and information constantly. Big shout out to my parents for tuning in and supporting me, and my wife as well. Yeah, just super thankful for what you guys do too, for putting on an awesome season for us.
Well, congratulations once again, Nathan. Good to talk to you as always. Go celebrate. Go get a cold one and live this one up.
Appreciate it, guys. Definitely will be.
Nathan Finnegan, the series champion at the end of this one. Zach, I just still cannot believe it. There's one man, though, that comes up a couple of spots shy of at least beating the 6th card of the checkered flag. It would have taken a few more spots than that, but Charlie Widener is alongside.
Yeah, Charlie Widener coming up a few spots short in the championship. You put it all out there. You tried to bring it home best you could. You came up short on Finnegan, but you jumped Brian Smith after all things are said and done. How you feeling walking out of here 2nd place in the championship?
I mean, I really can't complain. I mean, I made it all the way to 2nd, never winning a race. Just staying consistent as I can. Yeah, coming into the race, I expected to finish 3rd in points, unless they got into some trouble, and Brian did, but Nathan was able to avoid all of it. Dang it! And he just outdrove everybody.
Well, you still did everything you could. You put the car where it needed to be, when it needed to be there. You were one of the most competitive cars on the night. Keep in mind, especially when it came to the playoff drivers. So Andrew and I have floated around back and forth, you and Cody being 2 of the best drivers to have not won a race this season. You made it this far in the championship. Did you really expect that you were going to make it this far? Do you think you might have been out maybe a couple of rounds ago?
I was thinking that I could make it to the round of 8. I never thought I'd be Final 4. Got lucky enough to do that, and then again, I try to stay out of trouble. I had some excitement tonight with some close calls there, but I try to stay out of trouble and just try to be there at the end. The highest I raced all night was the last lap. So that's all I can try to do. I can't control anything else.
Well, you brought it home clean, keep in mind, and you brought it home in a good spot. 2nd place in the championship is nothing to be ashamed of. Congratulations, Charlie, and hopefully you're able to bring it home a little bit better next season.
Yeah, I always try to do better the next time. Thank you, guys.
That's Charlie Widener, 2nd place in the championship, 3rd place on the racetrack this evening. Jacob Gladulich declining an interview here for his 2nd place effort. Oh boy, well, I wish it was under some different circumstances as far as still being in the iRacing.com sim. I wish we could check out the replay there of what happened at the end of this, but that is just the circumstances we've been dealt this evening. iRacing crashing on us there during the celebration of Nathan Finnegan and his championship here at the Phoenix Raceway. Thanks so much for tuning in this season. It's been a pleasure all season long. Oh man. Zach, is there any way you can try to summarize this long season of Icon Cup racing?
Rivalries, drama, suspense, craziness. That's the best way to describe how this series has played out, and I think I've thoroughly enjoyed everything that I've seen when it comes to the Icon Cup series. There's always been great racing with these guys. There's been a lot of drama too, and controversy. So there's definitely a lot of things that go hand in hand with each other. But absolutely 100% amazing race from an amazing season from these guys.
Once again, congratulations to Nathan Finnegan, this season's Icon, the Icon Cup Series champion. Thanks for tuning in this evening. It's been a pleasure as always. One more time, a big thank you to Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Beezus, and Cody Williams Design. This season would not have been possible without any of those partners. Boy, what a long season it's been. 37 races now in the books with the Icon Cup Series. We broadcasted, I'd say, probably 32 of them, if I had to guess. I think we missed about 4 or 5 there. Just words can't describe what it's like to cap off a season anytime on the iRacing.com sim. Anytime we broadcast a full season like this. I never have the right words, never know what to say when it's all said and done, so we'll just leave you with this. The upcoming broadcast here at Pit Stop TV. Next up, we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway to kick off the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series in their 3rd season of racing. They kick things off on the high banks there in Hampton, Georgia on November 12th. Then we head out to Charlotte Motor Speedway on November 13th with the No Limit Racing Sim Wrap Market Series before we wrap the week up at USA International Speedway on Thursday with the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series Super Late Models back on track, earning points and going points racing once again. Zach, there's plenty of places to follow along with Pit Stop TV. They're all listed at the bottom of the screen.
That they are. PitStopTV.com, Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, Twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, YouTube.com/PitStopTV1, and X.com/PitStopTV_. I'm super excited for the races we have moving forward, Andrew. I'm super excited to see how some of these seasons are going to get wrapped up. We wrapped up one season tonight. We're wrapping up another one on Thursday. We're kicking off one on Tuesday. So much great stuff going on here at Pit Stop TV.
Gonna be a lot of fun. Got to tune in for all these upcoming races here at Pit Stop TV. There's a lot happening going into the fall and winter here of 2024 and into 2025. Just come along for the ride. Zach, thank you for being here most of this season here in 2024. It's been a pleasure, and you've made my job so much easier having you along for the ride. For everybody who's helped out at Pit Stop TV for 2024 with the Icon Cup Series, Mason Hausman, Zach Murtis, and so many others. I'm trying to think. Bryant Lucas was there for a bunch. I'm missing a name. I know I am. But for everybody who's helped us out this season, thank you for watching. Thank you, league drivers, league admins, league everybody, for making this season possible. We'll catch you next time here at Pit Stop TV. Until then, have a great night.